Does the U.S. trade with Cuba despite the embargo? Have you ever wondered how two neighboring countries can be so close yet so far apart? The United States embargo against Cuba has been a significant barrier since the early 1960s. This embargo restricts trade and commerce between the two nations, but it does not completely stop all interactions. The embargo was put in place after the Cuban Revolution, when the Cuban government nationalized properties owned by U.S. citizens. Over the years, it has seen various modifications, with periods of tightening and easing. While most forms of trade and financial transactions are prohibited, there are specific exceptions that allow for some trade to occur. One of the most notable exceptions is the trade in food and medicine. Since the Trade Sanction Reform and Export Enhancement Act of 2000, the United States has permitted the export of these essential goods to Cuba. However, this process is not straightforward. It involves strict licensing and regulatory requirements, making it complex for U.S. entities to engage in this trade. As a result, while some basic necessities can be sent to Cuba, the overall flow of goods remains limited. In recent years, there have been efforts to ease certain restrictions. For instance, the Biden administration has taken steps to relax some sanctions, including rescinding specific restrictions on financial transactions with Cuban entities. However, it is important to note that these changes do not affect the core embargo, which can only be lifted by Congress. From a cultural standpoint, many view the embargo as a barrier to economic development and cultural exchange. It is often seen as a remnant of Cold War politics that prevents both nations from benefiting from cooperation. Despite these challenges, there is a strong desire for increased engagement and exchange, both economically and culturally, which could help strengthen ties between the United States and Cuba. In practical terms, the embargo impacts not only trade but also cultural and educational exchanges. While there are some exceptions that allow for limited engagement, the overall effect is felt across various sectors, including tourism, education, and business. Efforts to ease sanctions and promote dialogue are seen as positive steps toward a more open relationship, which could benefit both countries in the long run. So, while the United States does trade with Cuba, it is limited and regulated under the existing embargo. The complexities of international relations and the desire for cultural exchange continue to shape this unique relationship.